Made to Order March is live right now. It's the only time of year we allow you guys to customize your wallets with thread colors, different leather colors. First one just rolled off the assembly line by Ryan from Canada. Look at that, pretty nice looking. And this helps us keep the employees busy in a little bit slower time of the year. It helps us reduce our waste because we can cut individual little panels instead of the whole wallet. And like I said, it's the only time of the year we allow you guys customization of our products, so check them out below. These boots are supposedly the perfect boots for offshore anglers. We're gonna cut them in half, run through our test to really see what is it about this boot that actually makes it angler ready, or is it just a rubber boot marketed towards fishermen? And thanks to Xtratuf for sponsoring this video. So what is offshore angler? I don't really know, to be honest. I'm in Salt Lake City, 4,000 feet above sea level, and I've been on a boat like twice in my life. But according to the internet, it takes place more than a few miles offshore. This type of fishing is typically done from larger boats and can be very rewarding for anglers who are willing to venture out into the open water. They're usually catching a lot bigger fish. They're on boats from 30 to 40 foot long. And so you're on decks where you need some grip, and there's gonna be a lot of waves causing the boat to go up and down, and so you need grip, you need all these things, and so it seems like there is a need for a purpose-built boot for angling that might solve some of the problems that other shoes might not work on a boat, like waterproof, still being breathable so you don't sweat through the boots and end up with standing sweat water in your boots. You need grip for the slippery deck when it gets wet, and it has to be durable because salt water is just notoriously bad for basically everything and it breaks it down. And most importantly, you want to be comfortable. If you're out there catching fish for hours and hours on end, standing and having that fishing pole pull you in certain directions, I don't know anything about fishing. You want to be comfortable. So what is this boot that allegedly solves these problems? Well, the brand is Xtratuf. The style is a 6-inch ankle deck boot. They weigh 1 pound 4 ounces. They retail for $105 and they're made in China. And the way that Xtratuf positions this boot is the ankle deck boot collection has been crafted specifically for offshore anglers. Anglers are athletes, and like any athlete, they demand the best footwear to help them perform at high levels. We've created a lightweight design with the same slip-resistant chevron outsole found in our legacy boots. The 6-inch ankle boot is a great option for any on-the-water athlete looking for protection with slip-on and go styling. So pretty clearly they are positioning it towards anglers, and it sounds like it's purpose-built. So let's start looking at these materials, starting with the upper first. And like it mentioned, it's hand-laid rubber, which means this rubber is probably formed in the upper, and then they hand lay and glue down, and I'm assuming vulcanize all these layers together, which is basically you put the rubber in that's not fully cured into an oven, and it cures together, bonding these together rather than just gluing them. And it looks like there's foxing around the outside. The rubber is about 1.5 millimeters thick. We did the waterproof test up to just the rubber, completely waterproof, all the way up to the goring up here. It's also waterproof. So is this boot angler ready with the upper? Well, clearly it is. It's a rubber boot, and even with a little neoprene similar to a wetsuit on the upper. And speaking of that, that kind of brings us to the lining. And you know, the lining for most cheap rubber boots, they're that $50, $60 price range, are just rubber. They don't really have any lining, maybe just like a little fabric that's fused into the rubber, but that's not the same type of thing. The nice thing about this Xtratuf boot is this neoprene layer doesn't just stop here at the goring. It goes all the way to the vamp of the boot, so that this whole boot is lined with that neoprene-like material, which helps it be a little bit more breathable. It helps absorb some of the sweat. It helps cut down on some of the smell because it has, what do they call it? The express cool something in it. So is it angler ready? Sure seems like it. I'd rather wear this than a rubber boot on a boat when I'm stuck out there for hours on end. And then if we look at the insole, it's just an average insole, nothing special, a little fabric topped and a foam underneath. Not purpose built like the muck boot where it had like that rubber underneath with the channels and the holes. You can see inside it's stroble stitched with a little bit of a lasting board underneath that seems like it's some sort of fabric. And then if we look at the outsole, which might be one of the more important parts of a angling boot, because if you're out there and the boat's rocking and you're pulling in a fish and you slip, end up in the water, sounds horrible. Afraid of sharks, to be honest. So you need lots of grip. And that's what this is allegedly supposed to do with these chevrons. And it does make it more grippy. You know, rather than a flat surface or even like a really hard rubber outsole, this stuff is pretty soft because it comes in at a 60 Shore A, so not quite as hard as a hard work boot rubber, around more of a sneaker rubber. So that's where you're gonna get some of the grip, along with all these channels that allow the water that you step on not to create a little barrier that you hydroplane on. It's gonna sink into these little chevrons and stuff and allow you to have a little bit more grip. So does that make these angler ready? Sure seems like it. You know, I'm sure there's rubber boots that have similar patterns and stuff, but it is a soft rubber and it feels like it's really grippy. So that's pretty much everything from the outside, and so far it already looks pretty different from a typical rubber boot, but we don't know what's on the inside. Is it just solid rubber all the way through? Is it just a rubber boot with a neoprene lining? Let's cut it in half and find out. All right, we got it chopped in half, an easier one this time. No leather in this, clearly. So it makes a nice quick cut job. So let's see what's inside. More than I thought there was gonna be on the inside, because I thought for sure it's just gonna be one solid piece of rubber for the outsole that this lasting material is sitting on. But you can see there's a lasting board, or maybe I call it a rubber midsole, that sits on top of the outsole that has these structural columns that are there to give you just a little bit more squish. And this rubber lasting board is important because if you were just standing on those columns, it's only a matter of time before the insole bottoms out, and now you're standing on high spots and low spots. Compared to like this LL Bean boot, where it's all rubber all the way through, this LL Bean boot is gonna be more durable because once you wear through the heel, it's not like you're getting into these voids. It's all rubber all the way through. It's gonna be heavier and it's not gonna be quite as squishy underfoot. So it's that constant trade-off of like, do you want more durability but less comfort, or do you want more comfort and less durability? And that's what this outsole is balancing. But honestly, that's pretty much it on the inside of the boot. It's a very simple boot, more complex than I thought, but still pretty simple. So is this just a rubber boot marketed towards anglers? Well, no, there's clearly some elements in here that the full lining rather than just rubber. You have a multi-layer sole construction instead of just all solid rubber. But does that mean it's worth $100? Because you can get a rubber boot for 50 to 60 bucks, about the same height for a decent quality one. And you can do a light comparison to the Muck boot that's $30 more, that has a lot more squish. If you haven't seen that video, go watch that. We're trying to do some more of these like work-ready boots. So comparing it to that $130 Muck boot, that $50, $60 rubber boot, it sits right in the middle. But the important thing is what you're really paying for 50 bucks more is that lining, it's that insole, it's the multi-layer construction. That ultimately, what does it give you as an angler or even just a casual wearer? Well, it's gonna be more comfortable, it's gonna be a lot less sweaty and hot, and it's gonna give you a lot more grip on the deck and just be a better boot through and through for that specific purpose. So overall, it seems like it was intentionally designed, and I don't know anything about angling because like I said, we're 4,000 feet above sea level. I've been on a boat a couple times. So you anglers out there that have tried this and you guys that have worked in these boots, let me know in the comments what you guys think and what your experiences in them, and maybe pros and cons of a cheap rubber boot versus this, versus more of a Muck boot style. And let me know what other boots you want me to cut apart in this style so we can compare them and really get a real spectrum going of this specific boot market. So thank you guys for all your support. If you want a pair of these, check them out below. And thank you guys for all that you do supporting this channel. The Rose Anvil 2, the builds, are handmade leather goods we make here in the shop. It's the only thing that makes all this possible. So thank you guys. See ya. Oh, thank you guys.